Over the course of its first decade of operation, Stargate Command saw more than one person take charge of the secret military base. Some of them have been, shall we say, more capable at the job than others. The base has seen great leadership, but also some that's truly terrible. Located deep inside Colorado's Cheyenne Mountain and codenamed Area 52, the S.G.C operates as the front line in Earth's struggle against alien threats. At last count, more than 24 SG teams operate from Stargate Command, tasked also with planetary exploration and reconnaissance. So it takes a certain kind of leader to ensure the success of these missions, as well as the top secret program's overall mandate: explore, forge alliances, and defend Earth. Here are the S.G.C's 5 base commanders, all 5 that we've seen so far, ranked from the worst to the best. There will be spoilers for Stargate SG-1 here, and also for a couple of episodes of Atlantis. How does your ranking compare? Before we get started, no, General West doesn't count. No matter how many times people on YouTube tell us we forgot him, he's left off this list on purpose. General W.O. West was portrayed by actor Leon Rippey in the 1994 Stargate movie, and while he did command the Creek Mountain facility that housed the Stargate research program, West was never in command of an agency called Stargate Command. The S.G.C wouldn't be formed until the first episode of the television series, Children of the Gods. There, a secret presidential order authorized its creation, along with recon teams SG-1 through SG-9. To use the Stargate to deploy teams off-world on an ongoing basis. Leaving aside the fact that, strictly speaking, West's command wasn't even in the same mountain, what he oversaw was the unit tasked with opening the Stargate in the first place. This was Catherine Langford's long-gestating scientific research project, and there's even some evidence in the movie that General West didn't spend much time on site. After the first mission to Abydos, the research project was mothballed, the gate was closed, and West was reassigned. This was prior to the S.G.C's formal organization 1 year later. But let's also give an honorable mention to one other officer who was seen sitting in the big chair. Only in his case, it was in an alternate timeline. In the 4th season finale of Stargate Atlantis, called The Last Man, we saw that series mainstay Major Lorne was eventually promoted and assigned to lead Stargate Command. General Lorne hears out Rodney McKay's plan to change the timeline they're living in. McKay ultimately succeeds, so we don't know if our Lorne will eventually take this command. Now, on with the list. Number 5, General BAUER. In the 4th season of Stargate SG-1, an aggressive NID Black Ops division decided that the Stargate program was not making progress fast enough. Earth faced existential alien threats seemingly at every turn, and it needed advanced weapons and technology to defend the planet. Unsatisfied with General Hammond's leadership and his moral integrity, the NID blackmailed the general by surreptitiously threatening his grandchildren, forcing him to step down. That's in the episode Chain Reaction. In his place, they installed Major General BAUER, played by actor Lawrence Dane. BAUER was a tough and hard-headed Air Force general near the end of his career. He wasn't corrupt by any means, but he got the job because he was someone willing to do what the NID wanted, even taking reckless risks to develop a new weapon of mass destruction. BAUER sent a team to steal refined naquita from the Goa'uld, losing a man in the process. Then he ordered Major Samantha Carter to use the mineral to detonate a high-yield explosive device on a planet with high concentrations of naquita in the soil. The off-world test site was incinerated, and BAUER declared victory, until he learned that the Stargate would not shut down. Radiation was now pouring through the gate back to Earth, and there wasn't any way to stop it. The base was evacuated and Stargate Command nearly lost, until the gate reached the 38-minute time limit and disconnected the wormhole automatically, mercifully sparing the Earth. That's a pretty terrible first day. Next time, General, listen to Sam. Number 4, Dr. Elizabeth Weir. Dr. Weir was in charge of the S.G.C for only a short time, probably a matter of weeks, and to date she's been the base's only civilian commander. At the end of the show's 7th season, Dr. Weir was handpicked by the new president, Henry Hayes, after he was sworn into office and briefed on the existence of the Stargate program. This was a crucial time. Anubis fleet was about to attack Earth, and SG-1 discovered an ancient outpost beneath the ice of Antarctica. An international treaty also complicated the normal operations at the S.G.C. Russia, China, France, and Great Britain would have a bigger say, and the International Oversight Advisory, the IOA, exercised civilian oversight of the program. With a background in international diplomacy, WEIR was a good fit here. Elizabeth was a capable leader, but she also seemed to recognize from day one that she was out of her depth. Politically, her hands were tied during much of her short tenure, leaving her with little to do but pass along bad news to the team. But then the Goa'uld came knocking. In the wake of Anubis' defeat, Baal was now stronger than ever, and the rest of the System Lords sought an alliance with Earth against him. As a seasoned negotiator, Elizabeth was in the perfect position to meet the delegation. Here in Season 8, the character was also recast. Tori Higginson took over the role from Jessica Steen, and made Elizabeth her own. Eventually, Dr. WEIR found her true calling. She was reassigned to lead the international research team at the Antarctic outpost. And soon after, Elizabeth found herself heading up an expedition through the Stargate to the lost city of Atlantis. Number 3. General Jack O'Neill. In Season 8, SG-1's team leader took a position that put him in charge of the entire S.G.C. But he did it with some trepidation. Jack O'Neill was used to being in the middle of the action, risking his own life, always in a position to get his people out of danger. Now he had to send teams off-world while he stayed behind. It was a tough transition, but Jack weathered the storm, a lot of them, kept the base safe, and held both Baal and the replicators at bay, with a quip and a smile ever at the ready. This was a year that saw the defeat of the Goa'uld, the destruction of the replicators, a giant plant infest the base, a disembodied Anubis run amok, a billionaire threaten to expose the program to the world, rogue operatives steal the Stargate, and a Jaffa wedding. And at the end of it, there was cake. At first, Richard Dean Anderson's Jack O'Neill thought that he wouldn't be up to the task, but he really rose to the occasion and discovered new ways to be a leader. He commanded the S.G.C. for 1 year before he was ready to move on, but not to retirement just yet. General O'Neill's new assignment was at the Pentagon, leading the newly formed Office of Homeworld Command. This put him at the president's right hand, overseeing U.S. interests in an international alliance that oversaw the Stargate program, the Atlantis expedition, the BC-304 Deep Space Carrier Fleet, and the 9th Chevron project on Icarus Base. Number 2. General Hank Landry. Portrayed by veteran actor Beau Bridges, Hank Landry stepped into command at the S.G.C. in the program's 9th year. Calm and confident, Landry had years of command experience under his belt, as well as the confidence of the man who put him in that chair, his predecessor, Jack O'Neill. General Landry also inherited a well-oiled machine, with support personnel like Walter Harriman at the top of their game, and all major threats to Earth more or less dealt with, at least for his first few days. Then came a new crisis, as Earth once again kicked the hornet's nest and stumbled into a powerful new threat. Once alerted to their existence, the followers of the Ori sent emissaries to the Milky Way galaxy as a prelude to an all-out invasion. It was Landry who manned the front lines, standing up to the Ori priors when they came knocking. He suffered firsthand when they unleashed a biological plague, and he stood toe-to-toe with a Goa'uld spy working for the Ori. Relying on SG-1's skill and expertise, General Landry helped to lead Earth through the Ori crisis that threatened the entire galaxy. At last report, Landry was still in charge at Stargate Command. Number 1. General George Hammond. What can be said about Major General George Hammond? The officer who led the S.G.C. for the longest was also the very best at the job. Hammond of Texas, as Braytak called him, was tough but fair, a seasoned military man who wouldn't back down from a fight, yet who was also wise and compassionate. Hammond commanded the base from the program's inception, and for its first 7 years of operation, he was the steady center that his people could always count on to have their backs. Hammond's character was originally pitched as gruff and hard-headed, barking orders and giving ultimatums in ways that put him at odds with SG-1. But actor Don S. Davis was having none of it. Under his influence, Hammond quickly went from strongman to strong leader, who exercised his authority by empowering those under his command. It made for a better character, better relationships, and a healthy base of operations inside Cheyenne Mountain. General Hammond oversaw the beginnings of the Stargate program in 1997 and its careful, ethical pursuit of its standing orders. He led by example, with confidence and a moral backbone, willing to put himself on the line and to make the tough calls. He stood toe-to-toe with the likes of Apophis and Nirti, helped to build alliances with the Tolan, the Tok'ra, and the Asgard, and fought off a replicator infestation. Finally, Hammond took command of Prometheus to help defend the planet from Anubis' assault fleet. George Hammond retired in peace, and after he passed away, he got a ship named in his memory, the deep space carrier USS George Hammond. He was the best. Well, that's what we think anyway. What's your ranking? Would you move any of these around? Tell us why in the comments below. You can find our full coverage of the Stargate franchise at gateworld.net. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel now so you don't miss a thing. Thanks for watching.